to I love live shows. I just love live shows. Sometimes we mess up, but it's all good. It's real, it's raw, it's live. Welcome to the CEO Holy Grail podcast. I'm excited to be with you today. I'm Regina Partain Bergman, co-founder of the CEO Holy Grail. And I am thrilled to have with me here this morning Dr. Asha Mankowska, my co-partner in the CEO Holy Grail. Welcome, Asha.
Welcome, Regina. Thank you so much for meeting us and our amazing guest today, this morning.
We are excited.
Would you like to do? Yes, they are, guys. They are absolutely amazing, and I'm so looking forward to share wisdom, but also listen to all their advice, challenges, and wins that they will share with you, and all the great tips that I'm sure they will be sharing with us. So
we've got some great leaders in the room today. And of course, this is the CEO Holy Grail. And so the folks that we bring on as our panelists are CEOs and executives who are out there doing it every day and just making a difference in the world. And so we want to bring them on board to share their wisdom and their experiences with other CEOs who are listening to the show, so that you can learn from what they've been through and where they're going and apply some of the principles in your business that have been successful in theirs. So let's start with some introductions. And
we even have an intro. We have even an intro that we can play.
Oh, yes, we do. And it is not keyed up. It will be when I edit, it will be on the podcast itself, but it's not going to be on our social media. As I say, I love live. It's raw, it's real, it is what it is. It shows that we're human, folks. And we are very much that. So I first want to introduce Jamie Boyd. And Jamie and I met recently as a result of Hurricane Beryl, actually. Hurricane Beryl went right over the top of us, didn't it, Jamie?
Came right up 45.
It did indeed, just right up the freeway. Yep. And so Jamie and I met as a result of me needing a new roof on my house. And Jamie is the owner and founder of Boyd Contractors. Welcome, Jamie. We're glad you're here today.
Thank you. I appreciate being here and the opportunity to just tell my story and hopefully help a few people maybe avoid some missteps or give them some inspiration to do their own thing.
Excellent. Love that. So much, Jamie. Love that.
Yeah.
And our other panelist, before we dive into more depth here, our other panelist is Michael James. And Michael is the founder and CEO of Noggin Finance. And Michael and I have known each other for a few years now, and we were trying to figure out yesterday how we met. Neither of us can remember. I'm still going to go back and see if I can figure that out. But it has been, my association with Michael has been a true blessing in my life. I absolutely love this young man. And oftentimes when he and I are in a virtual room together, the two of us, I know that you can see the sparks from the satellites in space because we're both just popping with ideas, and it's just so fun. So again, Michael, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me as a guest, and I look forward to sharing some insights and hopefully some motivations as well.
Excellent. So let's dive into a little of your background. Yeah, let's start. Jamie, let's have you tell a little bit about your journey getting to this place in life and who it is that you serve and why that's important to you to do that.
Sure. Okay, so when I was first married, this has been about 36 years ago, I do home improvements, and we have gravitated towards doing a lot of insurance, storm damage related work. And the way we got to that place was I started painting apartments for my wife's uncle, who managed quite a few apartments, and he just happened to say, why don't you come up on the weekend and paint some of these apartments? They're just make-readies. And the first one took like 3 days. And I had no idea really what I was doing, but I was doing it. and it fit my schedule. And eventually I got it down to, 2-bedroom apartment in about 4 hours. And that was nice. And a buddy of mine said, "Why don't you put an ad in the paper, see what happens?" And we did that, just a little local paper. And next thing you know, we got all these phone calls. And one of the first deals was a 4,500 square foot custom home. And I honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. And I just asked a lot of questions. The guy liked me, and eventually we got the job done. He paid me, and I thought, this is pretty cool. I was a little worried throughout that I was going to, mess something up, or that he wouldn't pay me. And but it worked out. And then I just started painting, and I could always sell. And the clients, once you're in their home, they ask you to do other things typically. And so one thing led to another. I had to learn all the trades, still being in school. And eventually I graduated. I got a degree in political science. Didn't really feel like going to law school like a bunch of my friends were doing, but we had started having babies, and I needed money right then. So I learned how to do all these different trades, and I got the tools. And if I didn't know how, I was asking people, or I would sub it out and watch how it was done. And I just kept hustling, and I wasn't quite sure I wanted to stay in the home improvement business, even though I loved working with my hands and loved these people. And, when you're in someone's home for a little while, you get to know them. And invariably, they would tell you everything. And you end up being kind of like a counselor to them. And I thought that was pretty interesting. But eventually, there was a lot of ups and downs, and I didn't know anything different, didn't have the ability to like switch to another industry easily. And when jobs would come in, I would take them all. And a lot of these clients then over the years would just stick with me and ask me to do different things. And after a couple of big storms, and the clients needed help with their roofs, and we figured that out. That's a very dynamic, fast-paced, lot more money involved in insurance work and storm damage. And for some reason, the last 15 years, it just seems to be more and more storm damage. I mean, we've seen recently what happens with these hurricanes that come into the Gulf. And, Texas is kind of, we get a lot of hail, and a lot of our clients need their roofs replaced. So that's kind of where we gravitated towards. And it's what we're doing. Probably 90% of our revenue comes from insurance related work. We've had a lot of water claims, very complex. They're time consuming, and it's not the insurance companies they're more and more difficult to deal with when you make a claim. And they try to deny, decline, delay payment in whatever way they can, even though they're contractually obligated, the homeowner's paying the premiums, and they know eventually they're going to have to do this. But if they can hold on to the money for 3 or 4 more months, or 6 months, or a year, in some cases a year, to finish these deals,
Easy.
They like that. And the homeowners, it's just too complex and confusing for them to go through all the hoops and challenges of getting their homes put back together. So it's a very robust like I say, dynamic, fast moving, a lot of changes. The Texas state legislature recently, well, 5 years ago, passed some legislation requiring homeowners to pay their full deductible. And, they also are promoting the insurance industry to prevent contractors from being licensed in Texas, which is kind of unusual. But if you're licensed, if you have a licensing process you go through, you can charge more money. In some states, you get maybe 20, 30% more because there's a licensing requirement by all the contractors.
Keeps the standard up.
Yeah, it does, but I have not seen the quality in states that require licensing. And you get a better deal if you're, as a homeowner, dealing with a contractor that you vetted, that you have some you can get your fingers into them. You have you can do a lot of advertising, but if you don't know that contractor and you have no other contacts with them or around them or know anything about them, it's easy for them to walk away if things go bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we see that.
Yeah,
we do see that.
It does happen, and it's unfortunate, but I've been pretty conscientious about trying to make the homeowner happy, and you give up a little bit of money sometimes, but you maintain your reputation, and you get referrals, and that's the key to our success. I should say I haven't yet put any money into advertising. A long time ago, it was the Yellow Pages. Everyone had to be in the Yellow Pages.
Right. Now people don't know what those are.
Now people don't even know what are Yellow Pages.
What are newspapers?
Or newspapers. Classified ad section.
If I can add, Jamie,
Sure.
2 things that in my sit downs with you that I have noticed. One is you're very good at the hand holding of that client and helping them work their way through this nightmare, because it frequently is. And 2, you have a heart for helping that homeowner. Your heart clearly shows in your interactions. So we appreciate that very much.
Well, I thank you. It kind of comes natural. When I say I love these people, it just is a natural byproduct. They're helping me to take care of my family.
Right.
And I appreciate that. And I'm a homeowner too.
Yeah.
So
you get it.
Yeah. And we have 4 kids, 3 daughters. They're all married. 3 wonderful son-in-laws. And 5 grandkids. So there's 14 of us. So when you help me, it helps all of us.
Yeah.
Our focus now really is to when is our next event where we can all get together.
Yeah.
And that really motivates me to work, to make money, to provide means to, the kids are kind of spread out around the country, to get them back here.
Yeah.
Or to go and do something.
Right.
So everybody has different motivations, and mine just kind of is centered around, maintaining my own property, my own home, and getting our family together as often as possible.
Awesome.
So I'm grateful for the work, and I have learned a lot about people, about the principles of being honest, trustworthy, hustling. I can't say enough about how important it is to just keep pushing forward.
Keep going. Yeah.
And you will find your questions will be answered, and your ability to take care of yourself and those around you will increase if you just hustle.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that. We're going to hear some more from you in a little bit as we ask some more questions. Let's go to Michael. Michael, would you share a bit of your journey with us? Who you serve and why? Oh, go ahead, Asha.
Before that, may I comment on a few things? Because
Please.
I think that Jamie pointed out a few very important aspects. I was taking notes. For any business owner, corporate owner, or smaller company owner, it's extremely important. Number one, you said you always asked questions, and you always listened for their needs, for the answers. And that's exactly, active listening. It took you to know where they need help, how they need help, and your reputation precedes you, as we can hear, because you're the rare gem, sounds like it, in a crazy world of the contractors out there. Because yes, it's right. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's so difficult to find someone trustworthy that actually will start and finish the work in a way, in a pace that your client is absolutely happy and want to retain your services over and over again.
Can I add something to that?
And I would like to as well. Yes.
I just want to qualify that through the years, there are plenty of jobs that I've messed up, and everybody makes mistakes. And the difference, though, is that you fix them. You fix them. You find a way to make the client happy. And if they're not, and there's just no way to make them happy, and they're just really frustrated and they run you off, that can happen. And it's not the end of the world, and you're going to be okay. But you learn from it. And it's happened to me. And I don't want it to happen again. So you make better efforts, and you just try to find some kind of a compromise. And you got to be willing to compromise on some of these deals, because there can be a lot of money going back and forth. And sometimes it's just easier and better for both parties to say, okay, let's just settle on this, and let's move on.
And let's move on. Absolutely. And I was just going to say that
my last thing.
Could I add to that piece, though, because it's so pertinent to that part?
Go ahead.
That
yes, please.
Jamie was a referral to us, and the recommendation was so strong that we didn't even talk to anyone else. We didn't seek out anyone else. It was like they recommended him. They told us who he was. Great. Give us his phone number. And
that's
we didn't
ideal.
talk to any other contractors. So,
that's powerful. That's I think that says it all, in this world. So the last thing, what I wanted to say, what I was noticing, what you were describing your story, Jamie, that the communication, and you just confirmed that the communication with a client is everything, right? With your team members, with a client, basically, like you said, holding their hands in very difficult situations, because you coming in when they in a place of tornado, literally, right? In their life, their house, their situation. And then basically, thanks to you, your communication, you're trying to find out what they need, what's the problem is, how to make them happy, how to help them the best way you can. It's you making them feel safe, secure, and that's priceless. Like Regina just said, she did not look for any other contractors to do that job, because the referral was that strong. So just a little bit of noticing here. Fantastic.
Awesome.
I'll add a quick comment on that too, really quick.
Please,
Jamie, from an outside perspective, I don't work within your industry, but as a marketing and advertising professional for the last 13 years, I've worked in your industry and had many clients in the roofing, construction, service-based industries. And to have your organic lines of business and the referral business line, a lot of people don't have that. So that's a great reputation. And again, if Regina's getting a one referral to a phone call to a contract, pretty good situation. Got a great referral partner system going. So hats off to you.
I appreciate it.
Takes time to do that. So
yeah. All right. So Michael, would you share a bit about your journey and who you serve and why, what it is you're doing in the world?
Well, as Regina has seen and known, it's been a pretty wild journey over the last, I'd say 8 or 9, 10 years. And she's now seen probably 3 iterations of different businesses I've built. And as I just mentioned, I started a marketing and advertising agency 13 years ago. And I think we met through LinkedIn through either messaging or some sort of a referral, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Possibly
neither one of us can remember.
I'll have to think back because I've got a few connections on LinkedIn. But my journey's been unique the last, I'd say, 4 years with this finance company. I'd say the 4 years of me privately building the relationships and going out and seeing and vetting the idea and finding out what's possible or not due to licensing compliance regulations on a state, national, and federal level. And so I found out unique ways of working in the brokerage business, working in the finance space, but not being a broker and not being a financier. And so to have that title and to build a referral network myself, it's been a unique process where you have to go build the relationships and reputation from brokers so you see deals coming in and being referred to you. Then once you have a pool of deals or properties and projects and developments, then you go find investors and bankers and financiers to fill the pockets of them. So it's been a couple tiered process to build all of these partners, the relationships. Most of my time has been spent keeping those relationships live, realistic, not projecting false information or projections that may or may not happen, but realistic numbers based on what I'm seeing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and creating numbers and projections around that. It's, just yesterday before 2 p.m., I signed 3 partners. I have access to another 30,000 investors. I have now another nationwide residential and commercial lender that can fund up to $5 billion per project. So, by 2 p.m. in a day, because of the reputation, the referrals, the opportunities, you're able to capture some of that. Some of that doesn't work out, but some of it does. And when you can put it into the tool belt, so to speak, when you show up to the next client, you're looked at as a little bit more valuable, even though I'm 38. I'm a pretty young buck in the space. And, so I have to navigate. I have to show up as a leader with respect. I don't try and overstep with ego, but I also try and capture ego so it doesn't overstep our relationship and people see me in a different light that's not technically, realistic. It's something they've made up or projected on. So I have to be realistic in my capabilities, who I am, and what I can do for the client, as well as the broker and any of their partners. So the referral program has been great where, again, once you have a certain amount of relationships and a reputation in the space, you can then start building different components and seeing what works and what doesn't. And I've been, I'd say, pretty strategic in every 3 to 4 months, I'm literally changing different product lines, different services. The offer might change a little bit to certain brokers and customers. But at the end of the day, for the next 1 to 5 years, I'm trying to be in this space so I can be Noah's Ark, catch a lot of business, be a great relationship, great reputation for the next few years, and hopefully be of assistance as people look to sell their business from the baby boomer generation, because there's going to be a massive transfer of wealth. Trillions of dollars will be leaving the market. And I think they say 60 to 40% of businesses looking to sell their businesses do not get acquired. That's a lot. That's literally trillions of dollars not being acquired by businesses. They're not being handed down through family, and they're just literally disappearing, going into the ethers. And so what I'm trying to do with the marketing agency the last 13 years is my past clients and portfolio, I've tried to build and build and build, make them look more valuable. So someone like myself can come in and turnkey invest and buy that business, that book of business, that physical relation, the retail location, or the e-commerce opportunity and platform. So again, depending on the age of the acquirer or buyer, there's certain skills, tools. You have to have money. You're going to have to know business operations, staffing, probably some marketing, probably some AI stuff. Because the next few years, that's where all this will be sitting and percolating. So the journey for me has been up and down every week and month. Revenues are changing, referrals are changing. Some deals work, some deals don't. Sometimes you think you're going to make a bunch of money and then it just disappears and you're like, oh boy, I'm making less than I did last year now. So it's, you're always looking for those next clients and deals and opportunities. I'm just playing with you with the numbers, but it literally can be that dramatic. If a certain size deal shows up and you're like, wow, I'm going to potentially do this next year. And then if it disappears, you're like, oh boy, I got to go find 3 extra deals to do that big of a deal now. So for my previous iterations, it's been very unique. The marketing, the software as a service, a CRM that I built, and then now the finance company, very different industries, very different mindset. The way you have to show up and operate is very different. The pricing of the products and services are completely different. And the transactions are different. The relationships are very different, surprisingly. So from a marketing client versus a finance client, in my mind, those are very, very different conversations. The trust, the amount of work that goes into some of those relationships is pretty substantial. So you're literally doing what banks and other people cannot in the finance space, and you're literally creating these custom opportunities that you're literally coming up with out of your noggin, like on the spot. So by listening, being evaluative of the customer and seeing their current needs and potentially future needs, that's where you find the now resource, but hopefully the future resource as well. And that's what I've been navigating the space and educating and trying to be that ongoing resource for the next 5 to 10 years as that transfer of wealth happens. So I've really enjoyed the journey. It's been phenomenal to be this age and to be working with Regina and Asha and meet professionals like Jamie and be involved in a room and a podcast like this. It's extremely fun, very motivational. I hope it touches the right people in the audience. Hopefully people learn from it, get a little motivation. So I appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts.
Before you share your questions, Asha, or your comments, I know you've got them there, and I'm so glad you do. Before you do that, I just want to touch on one thing that Michael talked about, and that's that the businesses that are not going to be sold.
Yeah.
We know that about 90% of the calls that come into business brokerages get turned away because the business is not saleable. It was not built in such a way that it has value to someone else.
Correct.
And that's where Asha and I come in. Asha, it's all you. Go ahead.
So I love your comment, and I will definitely comment on your comment.
Okay, cool.
But let me just also, I was taking notes when Michael was speaking, and what I love, what you were sharing, Michael, how important is literally for any business. I don't care how big or small business, it's really fostering the long-term relationships, right? Possessing the strong relationship building skills. It's not just networking, but it's what I was hearing, the emotional intelligence you implement when having relationships and communication with other leaders to see how you can serve them in the best way in multiple industries, in multiple roles. So that not only gives you the flexibility, but that will provide the unique ways that will differentiate you from all other businesses similar to you. so to speak, right? Because when we can differentiate ourselves, then there is no competition, because people will love Jamie, they will love Michael, they will love Regina and Asha, and want to do business because it's us, because what we represent, the value, the skills, and talents that you just mentioned. So this is incredible. And, it's not just intellect. People think, oh, someone is so wise, someone is so smart. It's already about the depth of a person, how actively you're listening, and your leadership, how much you can see the other person and their needs, and you employ your emotional intelligence to do that. And it's very, very crucial. So that's my little comments here.
Thank you for saying that.
And I will
You know,
say
another point I thought to tie that back to Jamie as well is, imagine the next referral Jamie gets. It'll be from a Regina, and then her entire neighborhood, most likely. So imagine the referral
He's
power.
been listening in on us, Jamie.
I'm just saying, like, think of that. I mean, think of the next weather storm. Maybe this winter there's a big windstorm or a big snowstorm or a freezing situation. I mean, I'm up in Washington, and last winter we had a real situation in my apartment building. The roof, the water, the lights, power, everything went out, and everybody had to go find living situations for a couple days. So, that referral thing is going to be huge, Jamie. Yeah. So that's really cool. And I wanted to tie that back to you. So
we wouldn't let him leave we wouldn't let Jamie leave the house the other day without giving us several of his business cards. And Rendell's been going around to the neighbors saying, you need to call him.
Perfect. There you go.
Yeah, I've been conditioned that when I'm up on a roof, I just stand up on the top, the highest point, and just look around. And I'm like, that roof, that
there you go.
These people, and I make these mental notes, and you always want to ask for referrals. You want to say, look, how well do you know your neighbor? Do they trust you? Can we talk to them? And I'm really comfortable doing that because I know I'm going to help them. And I know that they don't. When there's a big hailstorm, roofers come out of the woodwork. And they're knocking on your door like crazy, and you can get 10, 15 knocks in one day, shortly after a big hail. And after a while, it becomes really annoying. And I've done that too, and it works to a certain extent, and you really got to hustle doing that. But in the end, you can go in months later, and they still haven't made a deal with anyone, and it's a little bit more relaxed, and typically they're grateful to not have anyone knocking on their door anymore.
Put a sign up. I'm good. I got some.
Yeah,
I got a guy.
I hired Jamie.
I got a guy.
I went to a door one time. It was actually a friend of ours. And I had been out of town, and I knew they had this storm and a lot of roofers were going by, but I went up to the door. I was in the neighborhood. I wanted to just ask them, had they talked to any of these people? Had they made any deals yet? And there was a sign on the front door that said, no need for any contractors. We already have one. And I was like, genius. You already have one? Like, and then, I was a little sad for a bit. And then a couple of days later, I called them and they said, yeah, we're waiting for you to call. You're our contractor. So
pre-sale. Pre-sale.
I love it.
I was like, oh,
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you.
Yeah, I know. I was very, very grateful. But you do risk sometimes when you rely just on referrals that there are some people, and they can be close friends or family, who don't want to use you because they don't want to interfere with that relationship. If something goes awry or they get upset about something, and they have enough experience to know that happens quite a bit. And And it took a while for me to get comfortable with that. And maybe when I was younger and that would happen, it would really hurt, to be honest. So you gotta give them a little grace and be
just a little.
Just know you're going to be okay, and you keep hustling and moving forward. You're going to get another deal. There'll be somebody else that takes their place, and you can't let it bother you too much when you don't close a deal. Michael, I'm sure you're well aware of this.
You know how many marketing deals I've seen walk past, and some other buddy has taken it, and I'm just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and you just
congratulations. I hope it goes well.
Yeah, you just got to keep a good attitude and keep moving forward.
Oh yeah,
and yeah,
the next 10 will be better.
So, gentlemen, question for you. From your experiences, what do you see as the 3 biggest challenges that CEOs, founders, heads of companies face today? What are those 3 biggest challenges they're dealing with?
Well, in my industry, I can just tell you right off the bat, the biggest challenge is helpers. Getting qualified people. So in Texas in particular, and we do, we are kind of like the wild, wild west. We really, like I mentioned earlier, we don't have contracting license. Some states, there's sub-industry to train guys to pass their contractor's license. There's even, companies that are very busy helping people pass. We don't even have that. And so, and we don't have an apprenticeship. We're not a union state. Consequently, it helps the homeowners in you probably get better deals, but there's no apprenticeship for any of the sub trades, really. You do have to be licensed as electricians, plumbers, HVAC, and pest control, security. But outside of those, you really don't need a license to do anything.
Wow.
And so getting qualified help takes a long time. You go through a lot of people to figure out who can do this, who can do that. Do I like working with them? Like Asha mentioned, that these relationships are super important. And once you find somebody you like and can trust, you stick with them, and you hope that they stay healthy and that they don't leave or move or but I've been around it long enough to know and see some of my contractor guys that I've depended on, they get sick. They some of them have died. You can't find someone to do it at that price anymore. So you're constantly having to find people that can help you. They have to be a qualified, competent contractor in their field. And then it really helps if you like them and you can communicate well. Do they answer the phone? Do they respond to text messages? Or, and some of my guys that I rely on, I'll be honest, they can't read and they can't write.
Wow.
But I use them all the time. And they will send me, the most basic, simple invoice. And I don't get after them about their lack of, they can't do this or that. And they don't understand anything related to email, but we get the job done and it looks great. And I can just make a couple of phone calls and we can, we do this all over the state of Texas. Texas is big. And we have people in a lot of places that it just takes time to develop them. it takes time. And most people in my industry, to be honest, guys, they don't stick with it long enough. They can't overcome the challenges early on. And you need support, you need help. You can't do it on your own. So you need a supportive wife. Your kids, they've jumped in and helped me on deals. My wife has helped me on deals. Let's get this job done. And you just got to figure out a way and stick with it and be consistent. And eventually you figure it out. Like Michael has mentioned, his iterations is just experience and being able to overcome the challenges and sticking with it instead of bouncing around. I think in the end, you'll find more success.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well said.
Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah.
To make a note on that and
Well
the
said.
importance of continuing your consistency, my finance company, I didn't know it was going to work until the last 2 weeks. I put 5 years into it, a lot of money, a lot of risk. And I didn't know until the last 2 weeks whether it would work or not legally until certain regulations and compliances were signed. So it was really amazing. Like the timing, the people I spoke to, like every single phone call I could go back to and be like, that gal led to this guy, to this woman, to this department. I mean, it made it happen. And it was the consistency because I kept at it, kept finding those people who I needed to speak with. Let me Google this. I'll Reddit that. I'll YouTube this. I'll LinkedIn them. I mean, I was fishing all day long with hundreds of fishing poles to make it work or not. It was crazy. So yeah, that's my note on that.
What a journey.
What else do you see as a big challenge, Michael, for CEOs and founders?
What I'm hearing now in the finance space is quality referrals from brokers. Brokers don't spend enough time looking at the deals, and they're just sending deal like a hotcake. And it's like if you're making a cup of coffee in the morning and you forget one step or ingredient or it's off by a certain amount, it doesn't taste so good. Same thing as a client referral. If they're missing information or it's not accurate or they're asking for $10 million, but they've got $100K in the bank, not realistic. So you really have to spend some time in the discovery process and see, what's possible. And it's listening to their current needs and providing something that they can grab a hold of because their expectations are so crazy. Sometimes you're just like, what? Like this is like a third grade, expected. This is crazy. So you have to make it realistic and say, here's some doors, here's some people, here's some products and services that can help. Let's get you to the 10 million in maybe 2 years, 3 years down the road. But let's go talk to the $1 million door first because that's a little closer. So
laying out a pathway.
So being my age again, like you have to, you have, I mean, that's what banks don't do. That's where my roadmap has trajectory, where banks and them, they could literally close up tomorrow and people would not care. And they can literally do the rest of it off their phone. So that's what's at stake, literally for them. They've got some real opportunity costs that they don't know about yet. So
yeah. Asha, you have some thoughts there?
No, you know what? I'm just thinking about what Jamie said with the licensing and certifications. It's so funny because in California, we have 10,000 certifications that they require for every single thing. I'm surprised they're not breeding certification yet. And then, but trust me, I don't see any value in it besides an expense for state because they're crazy expensive. But they do not, they don't really guarantee anything. They don't really, besides your own payment as a business owner, they don't really speak for the quality of work that you're receiving from the companies, from the contractor or whatnot. I had a pleasure to work with a plumbing company here in California, and arborist. I think that's the proper name for those companies, which were, you know, one man owned or one family owned, but they became really huge with time. But there was the same issues, the quality of people that were missing, too many expectations and payments, too many competitors that, like, you know, Michael mentioned about the quality of leads or quality of referrals. It's really a huge issue, I think, in any business, because when a business wants to serve a client or fulfill client needs, they sometimes do a lot of shortcuts and they skip the very important due diligence. What and who is the ideal avatar, the ideal client? What's their description? What their pain points? What their challenges? And they just, okay, I'm going to sell something. I have a great product and service. I'm going to offer it to someone, right? And the other way, lack of quality clients. So the basically the expectations are not set clearly, and they're not communicated clearly either. So then it's lack of engagement, a lot of frustration that it's happening on both sides. So that was my just noticing here, and I will have one more question in a minute. Okay. What about you, Regina? What do you see here where the gentlemen were sharing the top challenge?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I just want folks to, you know, to recognize that these are universal challenges, no matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Helpers, Jamie, you said helpers, qualified helpers. How many companies are struggling with having the wrong people in the position or the wrong people in the company, and creating lots of challenges because they don't know how to pre-qualify them. They don't know how to make sure that this is the right individual for this position, for this department, for this company. And so that's where Asha and I come in as well. We've got tools that can help with that. And then the other thing is that referral. So oftentimes we think that we can build our business strictly on referrals. And as Michael was saying, those referrals aren't always up to snuff, right? they don't always take you where you want to go. You need multiple lines of getting those clients, not just referrals. Referrals are fantastic. And having that client that loves you, that's wonderful. Because they're going to buy more from you. Jamie, you said in your introduction that, you know, they come back to you. They come back. They want you to do this. They want you to do this because you've built that relationship with them, and they are true, really good referral. But they're not only coming back to you for their own things, but now they're bringing their family and friends, saying, "Hey, Jamie can do this for you. Talk to Jamie."
Let me mention one other thing related to those referrals. So, and I say I don't do any advertising. But in a roundabout way, I will. For example, one client called. We did their roof like 7 years ago. There was a big windstorm that came through and blew some of the ridge shingles off. And he called me and showed me a picture. So I made a phone call to one of our guys and said, "Can you go over there and take care of it? And I can handle it all over the phone." And instead, you know, this was 7 years ago. It was a big, really strong wind. Technically, we could have charged him, right, for just a repair.
Right.
It wasn't anything related to the material or to the installation. Sometimes, you know, 70, 80, 90 mile an hour winds can come through.
Yeah.
And then you get a lot of calls related to that. But my point is, I went and took care of it. I didn't charge him. And in a way, this is, you know, I paid my guy.
That's
right?
your marketing.
And so
that's your marketing.
Me the next time.
Absolutely.
You know, and we've done a lot of work for this guy's family, for his neighbors, and there was no way that I was not going to take care of him.
Absolutely. And word of mouth marketing. Michael, you're the marketing guy. What's the value of word of mouth marketing?
It's endless. I mean, again, it sounds like you're doing a great job with that, Jamie, and you've built a great referral system around your state and different counties you work within. And, you know, like myself, like I have 350 global referral partners for the finance company, and most of them don't send quality deals. So every quarter, I'm literally exiting 50 companies and their staff from my referral network because they just don't perform.
They're
And
not doing it.
I'm looking for a certain quality of deal to show up, and they haven't sent it. So I'm doing quick analysis and going, this ain't going to work. It's probably never going to happen. So let's say bye-bye in the nicest way possible.
You know what? A little bit of data about that, you know, exceptional customer service, which means providing the quality clients, right? Or really referrals. When you have dedicated your time and your efforts to support your clients, to help at the highest level, it's really with the data, it's about 30% increase, you know, in client satisfaction, where it's directly impacting your, you know, your retention, right? But this is traditionally speaking very conservatively. So in Jamie's situation, it's going to be the percentage will be much higher, I'm expecting, only because you really invest in those deepening of those relationships and taking care of a client in a very human to human level, you know, because I remember when I started from B2B to B2C, right? Business to client and business to business. And I realized when comparing those two, there is no B2B, B2C. They don't exist. It's H to H, human to human.
I like that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Right? I don't care what the identities we put behind. It's always human to human, because look at that. Jamie and Michael, you gentlemen represent completely different type of businesses, so to speak. But your skills, the both of your skills is so transferable, right? You have to be brilliant in a holistic way, high level, in so many ways. And you're treating the other party as a human, and you want to provide the most quality service as you can, take care of the other person, because you think long term, not just, you know, one and done, transactionally, right? And especially nowadays, transactional, and it's still, I can see still in corporations especially, it's still existing, unfortunately, and it is going to be, it's very damaging. They don't really realize that, because they think, okay, great cash flow, and but it's instant gratification that won't create a long-term business, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I would add that there's a lot of pressure on some companies for cash flow, and everybody can get into kind of a cash flow crunch every now and then.
Right.
And, you know, those pressures are real, and you can make decisions that may not be in the best interest of the client, like Asha says, and it can be damaging. So if you can get to a point where your overhead is low, and we've had, I used to have a lot of people, office staff, salespeople, and there's just a lot of stuff going on. And it's pretty crazy to keep control of all of it. You can't control all of it. You lose control in a lot of ways. And we grew really fast after a couple of big storms, that we weren't able to service everybody the way I wanted to. And I just eventually let everybody go. And I really didn't have any qualms about it. And, you know, some people's ego will prevent them from downsizing, if you will. They want to keep growing and making more deals. I just didn't want the business to own me, because my priorities, it wasn't, I love to make money, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't the number one priority. And, you know, like I mentioned earlier, my family, we love to get together. We like doing things. We got these little grandkids, and they're precious. And
Yeah.
that was, if the company and the business owned me, and I couldn't spend time where I really have a lot of, I do a lot of other things besides work. Work isn't the priority. It
Yeah.
doesn't control me anymore. And I give better service. Our margins have gone way up, and
I
Don't have
love
all
it.
the overhead.
controllable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the
Mhm.
perfect lead in to where I wanted to go next. It's
Yes.
absolutely perfect, which is, what does it cost us to not deal with these challenges? And let's look at that both from a variety of perspectives: economically, physically,
Mhm.
emotionally, organizationally. What's it costing us to keep the status quo and not fix those problems, those challenges, not find those solutions? Gentlemen?
Can be quite detrimental. It can be literally the reason your business stays afloat or it sinks, depending on how you and your team decipher that and make those decisions and step forward or not. I've been involved in many startups that I've seen that, and their staff and the financial, analysis. I'm not typically involved in that, but it's related to everything else that we typically touch or the teams touch. And so when you have that many people in a room, everybody's trying to keep their job, obviously, but at the same time, you want to be honest and look at the hard data and the finances and be like, this is working, this is not, and coming
The
up
buck
with a
stops here,
strategy
right?
moving forward. So being realistic.
Yeah. Buck stops here. You have to make those decisions as that CEO, gathering all the data that you can, obviously, to make the best decision.
The
Jamie?
best informed decision.
Yeah, best informed decision. Absolutely. Jamie?
Yeah, I think you have to identify what your priorities in life are. So,
Absolutely.
Again, I think some people might look at me who are around me, and they may wonder how I do it. How do you have so much free time? And
Good reaction, Michael.
it's evolved. It's an evolutionary process, and if I hadn't have done this work early on, I wouldn't be able to have the time and the referrals and the ability. We've kept our overhead low.
Mhm.
And that was really more because my priorities were maybe a little different. Family was right up there. I spend a lot of time related to our church, and spirituality. It's kind of a foundation for your decisions. And I keep that at the forefront of how I deal with people, how I see people,
Mhm.
all the way from the young guys doing the ground game on some of these roof jobs. And let's be honest, a lot of them they don't speak English. So I've had to learn Spanish. It's a working Spanish. It's not anything I'd be really comfortable with speaking in public with, but I want these guys to know that they're valuable. And
Yeah.
and then I talk to a lot of guys who are just friends, who are CEOs, who are very wealthy, very influential. I've got friends that have done really, really well. I don't want to really, name names and all that, but I just treat them the same as these guys that are young, and
Very good.
they they need to know that they're valuable too.
Yeah. Everyone has value.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone has value.
And you know what? That's why basically I learned in California to say "por supuesto, señor," and that really helps in a lot of situations. But you know what I absolutely appreciate, Jamie? You shared about and the cash flow and your priorities and keeping the overhead low and really the quality of life, how important it is. And it was not this situation before when you were starting. Unfortunately, what we noticing with Regina, it's many business owners like yourself and smaller, bigger corporations. What they lack is the time, not only financial freedom. A lot of them, they do have the revenue, profitability, so it really depends on the decisions what they make. Those are very difficult decisions, but it's not that because they don't want to. It's because they feeling overwhelmed, and like you said, they lose track, they lose control because everything is growing so fast, right? They are very happy about this because their company is growing, but then there are no systems in place, there are no processes, documentation. So everything is kind of on a job training or anything like that. So this is really hurting those company growth, and they are not able to really maximize the value of a company. At some point they say, okay, I want to just sell it because I'm so tired. They did not step back, they were not able to say, my time is precious, my family is precious, I really want to dedicate that time mostly for my values, for the people I love and I want to spend my time with, grandkids or whatnot, right? So that's when Regina and myself are coming in with the CEO Holy Grail to give them that opportunity and get them some clarity. Look at evaluation of their business. What's working, what's not working, where are the blind spots? What do you really want? Do you really want to spend 80 hours a week in your love? I mean, maybe you love your job, your work, that was your passion. But if you have to work 80 hours a week, and trust me, some of the CEO that came to me of the smaller, bigger corporations, they exactly worked that much. And their wives was like, can you please tell me when you stop? Because, we already have grandkids and we don't have the time to spend with them, or with our kids are already out. So,
Families fall apart.
Yeah.
Complete, and that's so painful. That's what I want to say. So it's not just the financial cost, because you can, like you said, if you do it right, you can have the cash flow and you have the profitability, really the margins really comfortably, living very comfortably, living very happy, and you can take care of your guys, of your employees, right, without sacrificing completely your time, your effort, your mental health, because you're working 80 hours a week, right?
Yeah. I'd like to just say that, working that much, you have to also learn to maintain a balance. When in the beginning, early on, you got to have a real push and a real motivation and a real effort to get this thing going and off the ground.
Yes.
And it does take sacrifice, and that really is in the form of time. But you just need to be careful about, again, where your values are. And if you have a family, and that is, families are super valuable, and they're worth your time, and you need to maintain that balance, or you'll get on the other end of it. Maybe you've made a lot of money, but at what cost?
Right.
How are your kids doing? Your relationship with your spouse. and your other family members. And so you have to know ahead of time, what are you willing to sacrifice to get this done? How motivated are you to undertake this? I always encourage young people to have a side business or a side hustle, or get them thinking about what they can do as they're building their trade or their reputation. And I like seeing people be independent, entrepreneurial, and something that they're passionate about, and not to just take an hourly wage or a regular job, because it's just been such a blessing in my life to have my own deal. I don't interview very well. I think I'd be fired real quick from a lot of companies that might hire me. And you just
probably everybody in this room that's true for.
Right. I was putting my head on.
I'm not sure
Good
entrepreneurs
luck.
make good employees.
No.
Good luck trying to make me sit in your seat.
I already see like we are completely unemployable.
Yeah.
By minute 29, I've left.
We got time to chit chat in the middle of the day.
Yeah. And Jamie, to your point too, a lot of people, two points. Hopefully I'll remember the second one by the time I get there. But a lot of people don't realize what they've sacrificed in their family to put in all that time and energy until it's too late.
Right.
And they don't recognize that going in. And that's one of those huge costs of not dealing with the challenge of building your business properly. And ultimately, going back to what Michael talked about in his introduction, and we're talking about selling businesses, you've got to start with the end in mind. Use a little Stephen Covey here. Start with the end in mind, and know that you don't know everything about running a business. You weren't born with that knowledge. It's not taught to you in school. You got to get help along the way. You've got to find people who know the answers to the questions that you don't even know what to ask, because you don't know what you don't know. And so we need those folks who've been there, who've done that, who know, who understand, and can walk alongside us and help us to build our company in such a way that it can run without us. We are not that key person that it doesn't function if we're not in the office. It needs to be able to run without us, and so that you have ultimately a business that is marketable when you're ready to exit. Otherwise, you've just put in years and years thinking you were building this wonderful future for your family, only to find out you don't have anything. Yeah. If you die tomorrow, they've got nothing. If you go to retire tomorrow, you don't have a business to sell if you didn't build it right, if you didn't get that foundation in there. And then the second point I wanted to make was about revenue and profitability. You can get as much profit out of a $225,000 revenue business as you can a $1 million revenue business, depending upon how you're running it. You don't have to have all those employees. You don't have to have $1 million in revenue to get to that same number. You can do it on a much smaller revenue basis, have less headaches, spend less time in the office, and still get the same profit that you were going for on that $1 million business.
And that's huge. That's huge, Regina. And you know what? It's all about, like we talked about recently.
Say that again, Michael.
Say that again.
Oh, I said, sorry, a lot of people don't consider that. You'd be surprised at the amount of people in the market that don't consider that.
Have no idea of it. Again, it's that we don't know what we don't know.
Hadn't even thought of it.
Haven't even thought of it. Yeah. And that's why $1 million is such a huge number for most companies. Oh, I want to get to $1 million, because they think they're going to get that net out of there, but they can do it at a lot less. I'm sorry, Asha, please.
No, that's why we spoke recently with Regina, and it's all about, run your business like you want to sell it, right? Absolutely. So it's all about that, even if you don't want to in the future, but start, right? Because, you have to have like Joey was saying, Jamie, I'm sorry, was saying that you have to have a plan, and you have to, or a roadmap, and you have to have the support system that you create along the way to, again, support you in all your endeavors, in when you're coming home, when you're tired, when you're acquiring a new client and something is happening, right? So you need to know what to do, and how not to work the 80 hours a week. So it's the difference. I forgot already, like half of it what I want to say, but anyway, it's really the difference in between owning a business, and that you maximize the value of the business, of the company, and you can easily sell it, right? Not for 10 millions, let's say it's really worth, but if you have all the multipliers in place, let's say, Regina and myself, we're teaching our clients about 10 multipliers, how you can really increase the value of your business when you have all of them in place without killing yourself and working 100 hours a week. So imagine, being able to own a business, not own a job that you're chained to, right? So actually own a business that it is working really good without you, right? And instead of 10 millions for that business, you can receive 100 million for that business, because you do have that multipliers in place that Michael was talking about too. A lot of investors, they really want to have, just key turn investment that they can recoup their money right away, right on it. But how many people, when they create or build their own business, design all the systems, have all of that in place, thinking about this? No one does. No one
Not
does,
many.
right?
No one
So,
does. Yeah.
so maybe 1%. So that's where we really want you to think about that, analyze, and if you would like our help, we would love to take a look at your business and see, dear audience, whoever is listening right now, if that will be valuable to you. Feel free to reach out.
Yeah, in my case, in our industry, most of the guys don't start out with the end in mind. Most guys just, like I mentioned early on, my wife's uncle asked me if I could start painting some apartments. And, I was still in school. And anyways, it just was like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And you fall into it.
Evolved.
And after a while, it was the only thing that was really bringing money in consistently. And then eventually you're just like, okay, I'm going to make a commitment to this. And I didn't really set it up with the end in mind. And I don't really consider, how do I set this up to sell it one day? So you have a client database.
Yes.
Those clients are tied to you. They're not,
Exactly.
if you sold them to somebody else, they better be a lot like you. Otherwise, your clients will be like,
They'll be hunting
Uh-huh.
for a new person. Yeah.
Who's this guy?
yeah. And the accounting, a lot of people I've found who want to do their own thing, they're intimidated by, or they don't understand, okay, the accounting, the getting your name, just registering your company with the,
The
Secretary of
city, the
State,
state, and the federal, yeah.
getting your own account set up at the bank and what those requirements are. And all of those little things that they're unfamiliar with, and they end up just not doing anything, or there's a big black market. A lot of people under the radar just doing hustling little jobs, never recording anything. Just give me the money, I'm going to spend it. And
Yeah.
they don't have the end in mind, and they don't have a long-term approach. They may, and I've had guys who are really desperate, and you just sense that they're always bugging you. When you know, can I get some money up front? You know, my truck is, you know, I had one deal one time, nice guy, but he pulled the trailer into the driveway, and then his truck's transmission failed right there in the client's driveway. And we were blocking, of course, their garage door, and we couldn't pull the trailer out. And the guy's truck wasn't going anywhere.
Oh,
Anyways, you got to figure it out. And we ended up, he didn't have any money to fix his transmission. So I believe we just towed his truck to a transmission shop, and we said, we'll just do it. We'll take care of it. We'll help you out here because we got to get this trailer out of the client's driveway. Just get the crew going on the roof, and we'll explain to them in a couple of days. We'll pull the trailer out. They were patient, but I didn't use him a whole lot after that because they're desperate, and you don't really want desperate people working on your jobs. They got to be a little bit relaxed and a little more stable, and it takes a while to figure out who can do that. You know, Michael, I'll bet you got some people who are like, man, I got to get this deal done by
the
end of the week, or this whole thing's going to fall apart, and I'm going to,
it's the first of the month. I had 3 times the amount of deals show up. Desperate. Give me money.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So,
it's crazy.
Anyways, that takes a while to figure that out. But and then others are totally worth investing in and helping them out. And it just takes time to figure out who that is. I go inside homes. I go into homes a lot, and there are some crews I'm like, okay, this crew, these guys, they're working outside. I'm not going to have them come inside. Inside the home, it's a sacred place. It's totally different. You need to have people who you trust, and you'd be totally fine with them around your wife or your grandkids. And again, it takes time to figure that out. And
you know, it's thank you for saying that, Jamie, because what I think we're noticing, and I'm asking right now a rhetoric question at this moment, how many people or business owners, corporate owners, they work or they make decision out of, you know, preconception, right? They are proactive versus being reactive, obviously. Most people, most business owners, more employees that we meet are going to act and operate from the reactivity point of view instead of being proactive about your business, about your jobs, about your profitability, how you see, you know, end with mind, like you said, and then reverse engineering, what do you want, and then how are you going to do that now, right? So there is no roadmap, nothing you can base and track your results on, or lack of clarity. Where do you want to go with all that, even if you don't sell, right? But then it's just like, okay, living paycheck to paycheck, being reactive. That's like you said, you know, being desperate. That's the reality that most people operate. It's not a right way. It's not a happy way. It's not a balanced way. You know, you can't get like a strong resilience, happiness, well-being out of that, you know, mindset. You can get a recipe for disaster out of that, that's for sure. You know,
yeah, we've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of desperate people do desperate things, and that's true across every industry. I try to again acquire people who are a little bit more stable. Takes a while to figure it out. And I'll test them on things. They don't know they're being tested or questioned. My line of questioning is related to try to determine, are they good right here? Are they good people? Do they have some habits
Right.
that are would be, detrimental in the long run? And it's a dynamic, moving field. But homeowners, especially women, I've got a lot of widows and a lot of single mothers with kids. For some reason, they just, maybe
That
there's
heart
more.
you have.
Maybe there's more of them now. I don't know, but I just try to take care of them. Okay, I've got a mom. Who would I want to take care of her?
Yeah.
My wife, my little girls, my granddaughters, and I worry who's going to take care of them and treat them right and just be honest and not take advantage of them because they're scared.
Yeah.
And I try to reassure them that everything's going to be okay, and we're going to help you out. And that reassurance, I think, has just allowed me to get more referrals. But at the same time, and one of the reasons I'm doing this, Regina and Asha, is I've never really, I don't really like talking about myself. But I do want to help young people. I want to see more young people get into the trades and to see it as a vehicle to become independent, self-reliant,
I like that.
and to be able to take care of their themselves and to have a family. We work with a lot of young people at church, and I try to encourage them to learn a trade and to try something on their own. And if I can help them get to that point, great, because the industry needs it. Every homeowner, you guys
Desperately.
think about this, your own home. You want to feather your own nest. So all the little birds, I see these birds flying around outside my window. They are all looking to make their nest a little nicer, a little more stable, safer. We're no different. We're no different. And
Absolutely.
we want to make our homes nice. And we got to do it in a way that doesn't break the bank or mess up your, lead to a divorce. I've seen, my wife and I, we probably argue more about how we're going to fix up our own home or what project are we going to do next more than anything else. And just like, what color are we going to put? And we disagree on a lot of that, but eventually she wins. And, it just seems easier that way sometimes.
Sometimes.
But,
well, see, you can just save yourself a lot of grief there, Jamie. Just realize it at the beginning and just go with it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
I gracefully bow out of that conversation.
I noticed you were holding your peace there, Mike.
I'm single. It's for a reason. I'm just kidding.
Asha?
No, I'm just saying that we can talk forever, but I think it's time to wrap up.
Yes, it is.
This amazing. It's been absolutely a great, wonderful discussion. We are really grateful, Jamie and Michael, for joining us today for this business panel and sharing your real expectations, your real challenges and dreams, and how you overcame them. And I really hope everyone that will be listening to this or watching us now or the years to come, it will get some great golden nuggets from for their own life. And, Jamie, I really see you as a natural born leader. It's so natural out of you to want to inspire, to want to educate, to want to teach, because that's what people really need. Young people but also business owners, because sometimes, they get into so much, they're feeling overwhelmed, right? And they think, okay, I'm already so successful. What's happening? Why I'm all tired and I don't have any direction? They still need that. So younger people that just entering the journey of being a business owner or wanting to, right, creating a startup, and then experienced business owner that are scaling and they completely overwhelmed because there's so many things that is going on in this system. Hopefully you all found a great value, a great support, and you know who you want to call when you need more support in depth in any of the aspects that we've mentioned. So how we would like to wrap it up, Regina,
Yes,
today.
yes. So we are so glad that you both were here today, Michael and Jamie, and you've added greatly to the show, and we appreciate all of your insights and the wisdom that you shared. To all of our listeners, if you're watching or listening to this on a podcast, in the show notes, you'll see everybody's contact information if you want to reach out to them. Also, we have, if you're watching this on a social media platform, it'll be in the comments. And additionally, the link to our calendar for the CEO Holy Grail, if you'd like to reach out and have a conversation with Asha and I about your business and how you can go from where you are now to being prepared to have a business that can run without you and that ultimately you can sell or your family can sell if something happens to you. Think about the financial legacy that you're leaving your family if you do not build your business in such a way that it has value to someone else, because they're going to be left just with a business that they can't sell. They're going to have to just close the doors if something happens to you. You retire. Michael talked about it early in the show. So many businesses just have to close the doors because they don't have a business they can sell. We can fix that. We can set you on a trajectory to have that in your business, and we'll hold your hand all the way, create that plan for you, that roadmap. We come in and do a deep assessment on your business confidentially, then it's not painful, but we're going to look at all the ways that we can enhance your revenue and profitability, and looking very conservatively at those numbers, what we can do for you. And then we create a roadmap of what it takes to get there. And then we hold your hand every step of the way through it. So if that's of interest to you, our calendar link is in there as well.
Can I add
Yes,
one more
please,
thing
Jamie.
just before we get off? And that is that my generation has a responsibility to inspire and to teach the younger generation that you can do this. And part of that motivation is I want you to understand, everybody really, how fortunate we are to live in America.
Yes.
And how much opportunity there is here. I've lived on 3 continents, and I know what I'm talking about. There is no place on earth even remotely close to this.
Yeah.
If you want to start your own business, if you want to make money, if you want, the sky is the limit. And that's because we have such a large middle class that has discretionary income. And we buy everything. We buy everything. We are influenced more and more to purchase things, and it's simple little things. And we watch these podcasts, and there's a lot more opportunity coming. Believe me, we are going to thrive, because the United States of America is a land of opportunity, and people are desperate for success and to take care of their families, to feather their nest. And they are willing to sacrifice their lives to come here. We also are governed by the rule of law. And I can't tell you how important that is. And
yes, it is.
We have a document, the Constitution of the United States, I believe is an inspired document. It is, it's unique. It was the first of its kind. We have an abundance of natural resources, and in our DNA is our risk takers. All of our ancestors risked their lives to come here.
Yeah.
And they were seeking religious freedom and opportunity, and they found it. And that is super unique and very valuable. And don't underestimate our ability to rise above and to move ahead and to lead out, because we are governed again by the rule of law. People can borrow money. Our courts will support the contractual obligations, and 90% of the world's copyrights are here in the United States. Think about that. Everybody that has an idea, they know they need to come here and to present it. And it doesn't mean that they can't do it anywhere else. It's just more difficult.
Yeah.
So rules, regulations, restrictions, they choke entrepreneurs. So if government can be smart about regulations and about licensing, what will be freed up is this entrepreneurial spirit that runs through us. And we are so fortunate.
Thank you,
I'm
Jim.
grateful, very grateful.
Well said, Jamie.
As
Thank
we
you.
are.
Thank you.
All are. Yes. Thank
Jim.
you. Any final thoughts, Asha?
Well, yeah, a few. And then I would love to also hear from Michael, the last, a few golden nuggets of wisdom and how we can also connect with you guys. But what Regina was mentioning, the evaluation, to do your evaluation, your business evaluation, your business growth evaluation, it's so important. Frankly, I do it with all my clients every year, because every year we are ready to grow, we are ready to change, we have to optimize, because our economy is changing, our clientele is changing, everything is changing. If you're not going to innovate, if you're not going to stay attuned onto what's happening with everything out there, you're going to be soon obsolete. Even if you have like a Blockbuster, right? Who heard about Blockbuster anymore, right? We don't know, even some younger generation, they don't even know it existed back in the days. But that's why it's extremely important to do so. We are happy to connect with you and assist you with that whenever you're ready. But I highly advise to do it every year. So it's not just for people that's starting or just wanted to sell, or they are, in the middle of evaluating their business, what's happening. But when you want to scale, you want to have a candid look what's happening really in your business. Where are the blind spots? And we are here to really assist you with that and set clear expectations, so you really know how you want to grow your business, your life, how to get your time back, your well-being back. Because like we all said, it's all about your values and creating your business around your life, right? And not the other way around. And most people do it the other way around. And quick thought, Jamie, because I'm always joking because my accent is from Texas, when I'm in California, and people are like, oh, really? I'm like, no, I was just joking. I have two countries, actually, right? So one is Poland, one is United States. And I was just sharing with Regina recently that I'm so lucky and so fortunate, because, like you said, the Constitution was set in United States as the first country in the world. Guess what? Poland was the first country in Europe that the Constitution was set, and was the second country in the world. So my two countries are dominating the space. You guys,
well done.
We are all risk takers, and we have the the pioneer spirit that I think we have to honor, you know.
Yes. Let's just take those risks intelligently. We need to take those risks to grow our companies, but let's take them intelligently by understanding more of that landscape for creating that business that can run without you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael.
Yeah. You know, what I've seen a lot in the last 6 months is people getting to a certain place of success, wealth, accomplishment, and they haven't done the interpersonal work. And they have all this free time. They've got a great life and wife and kids and a business that they've, you know, either made a certain amount of money or they've sold recently. And a lot of people are lost. They're looking for that spiritual, that church, that family community orientation, because now they're just like all over the place, like a lost little puppy in a way. And I've seen it in the younger, the 25 that are doing really well in certain spaces, up to the 80-year-olds that have just, you know, had some huge acquisition happen or something, you know, significantly changed their life. And they're like, what do I do now? Who am I? What's the purpose of all this? And they question themselves more than they question the starting of their business. It's very interesting. So like what Jamie was saying earlier, creating that work-life balance, knowing what you like to do and where you like to spend your time outside of work, whether that's with family, friends, traveling, events, church, whatever you like to do in relaxation time. Really fine tune that in your life as you're building and scaling and employing and unemploying and all of these situations that'll show up. Find what interests you, where you can extend that and find community around that. Whether it's photography, bird watching, you like to go to the local place to go swimming, the aquatic center, you know, whatever you like to do. You know, most people would not assume that I fly drones all day. I ride electric unicycles. Most people in town point the finger and laugh at me. But for me, once you figured it out, you feel like you're Aladdin and you're on a magic carpet all day. It's like the coolest thing possible. I ski when there's actually snow here in the winter, but most of the time I'm on the unicycle. I'm playing with cameras and drones. And I am that guy that a lot of people think, why is he hanging out at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday? Because I was up at 5 a.m. until 1 p.m. doing all the work. And then from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. I was working. So what most people do in a day, I do it in 2 different blocks. And I try and split up my day in the middle so I don't go insane. But I really enjoy that personal break, that time where I get to relax, disconnect from everything, and just be present and do what I want to do. And not have expectations or assumptions, but just, hey, I'm going to try to go to that park today. I'm going to go to that coffee shop. I'll go to that different bank branch because I haven't been there in 8 months, you know, just for fun, just to do something different. So I would say that's my last nugget on that. So just have some fun with what you're doing and pull yourself into different communities and see what interests you.
Yeah, that's great.
Because recharging your batteries is the most important.
I see myself as an introvert, so you really have to recharge and play with that battery level all the time. So I'd love to just sit in my house and have clients show up, but that's not realistic. So you actually have to go walk the street occasionally. So
occasionally, not too
occasionally.
Occasionally. And just say hi to someone. That also
at least a hi.
No, I know. When I realized that traveling is what really recharged my battery, that's why I'm like, okay, I am not a desk person. I have to be in action. You know, I need to travel to experience cultures, languages, beauty, nature, and whatnot. So really finding those and then have time and funds for it and the people you want to enjoy it with. That's absolutely priceless. So with this wonderful ending, Regina, do the honors.
And I just wanted to add to what Michael said there, because I actually have a client who is building her coaching business around that group of people, those people who are retiring and are lost.
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
I'd have 20 referrals.
I'll give you her information.
I'll give her my Excel sheet. So I'm just kidding.
This has been wonderful. I have enjoyed this so much, and I think our listeners are going to find a tremendous amount of value in this show. So thank you for being here, Jamie and Michael. Asha, thank you so much for being on this journey with me. The two of us together, we say we were twins that we just met in the last year or so, but we think we're twins. We do so much alike. Jamie?
We are wearing the same color.
And that's on purpose. We both got the memo. The ladies in red.
That was premeditated.
It is very much premeditated, yes. So
thank you, Asha and Regina. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for holding the space for us all. This has been great.
awesome.
Nice meeting you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Thank you. It's been wonderful, and I appreciate, again, the opportunity to share any little tidbits of wisdom or advice. And, I know that I have a lot to offer advice-wise, but I don't want that to come off as, anything arrogant or anything.
You've learned
Your,
a few lessons
your energy
along the
is so
way.
authentic, Jamie. Like, I don't think anyone would question that, man.
I agree.
If you held up a video camera and started a YouTube channel today, you'd just grow. It just
There you go.
because your authenticity.
Yeah, I've got, one of my daughters is involved in social media marketing and support. And, I've had some conversations with her about it, but, there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm just grateful for being able to hang in there, really. And that would be my message to those watching.
Yeah.
Find something you kind of like, that you're kind of passionate about, but just know that you're not going to like everything about what you're doing. But just stick with it.
But you have to like it enough to keep going.
Yep.
To get over the hurdles.
That's right.
Get over the hurdles, because you want it to motivate you to get out of bed every morning.
Yeah.
Or have enough big of a why you're doing it.
Yep.
Exactly.
And big enough support system, because we are not able to do it on our own. We cannot even go as far as we want, as we dream, especially for us big dreamers, when we have a big picture vision, big mission in mind, by ourselves, without the strong, solid support system. Hands down.
Yes.
Awesome.
Keep the faith.
Yeah, definitely. Well, again, thank you all for being here, and thank you to our viewers and listeners. We'll be back in a week. We're going to do a show a week, so we'll be back in a week. You can like and subscribe to our various channels. They'll again be in the show notes, and we look forward to you joining us again next time here on the CEO Holy Grail. Bye for now.